Aloha and welcome to the 10th annual I Teach 808 Empowering Hawaii's Teachers in Technology Conference, sponsored by the Augustine Educational Foundation and Sacred Hearts Academy, Honolulu. My name is Jennifer Ner, and I'll be facilitating this session. We're so honored to have Nicole Goff here with us today to share her expertise through a 90-minute presentation titled 10-ish Tips to Make Reading Fun for Middle and High School Students. Please be aware that we'll be recording this session. If you don't like being recorded, you may consider turning off your camera during the session or reviewing the recording afterwards. The recording will be made available on YouTube and shared on I Teach 808's website a week after this event. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Nicole.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. All right. Good morning, folks joining us. And if you are someone who is cruising with us after the show, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Nicole Goff, and I have been one of the school librarians at Mid-Pacific Institute for the past 11-ish years. This session is all about making reading fun again, because the tips and tricks that I'm about to share with you are all things that I have done with our middle and high school students. And it is without a doubt a fact that once kiddos hit that 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade moment in their life, reading at school becomes more of a have to than a get to. And they start, unless they were born with a passion for literature, they start to lose that pull towards reading for fun. And so I hope that this proves useful or at least entertaining. I have to tell you, it's the title had a few iterations before we finally settled on 10 tips to make reading fun, and I could not narrow it down to 10, so it's a little more than that. It started with 10 ways to implement student voice and choice, so you are definitely going to see that sort of embedded in some of the activities that I do with my students. And then 10 ways to make reading fun. When the lovely Laurel Oshiro reached out to me, she wanted it to be a little more tech focused, but if you're hoping for, like, I don't know, apps and websites and purely tech stuff, this might not be the show for you, because a lot of what I do is analog, it's chatting, it's writing, but there are a few little tech things that we sneak in as well. So it isn't 10 tech tips, it's just 10 tips. But hopefully one or all of these prove useful, and I can't wait to get started. I do want to thank, of course, I Teach 808 and the Augustine Foundation for this opportunity. Jennifer, is there someone else I'm supposed to thank? I forgot to write it down.
Sacred Hearts is sponsoring.
Oh yes, Sacred Hearts and Sacred Hearts. Thank you guys so much for making this not only a thing that we do, but a free thing that we do. And of course, recording it enables anyone interested in all of these fabulous topics to tune in anytime and just continue to grow as professionals and people who get to hang out with students for fun. So I'm going to try to advance the slide. So what to expect? Again, some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about is tech stuff, it's websites, it's apps, and some is analog. It's a little bit of writing, it's a little bit of just games without devices. Some of the things I'm going to share do require a bit of prep on your part, the part of the instructor, the part of the teacher, the part of the librarian, whoever you are. And some things are a little more simplified. Some stuff can be done on the fly, as in you can just have it set up in your library or your classroom, and students can come in and do it whenever they want. And some things need to probably be a little more scheduled, like when you're expecting a class to come in, or if you have an event after school. Some are definitely purely fun, just for fun. And then others of these tips require some skills on the part of the students. Some can be construed as assignments. Maybe I tend to use the word activity instead, because it fools their student brain into thinking, hey, this was fun. And then some are just purely games. I feel odd just kind of speaking to a pretend audience, so I am going to reach out to, is it Shayani? Miss Brooks, do you want to say hi real fast and let us know where you're tuning in from?
Hi, my name is
Hi.
Shiani Brooks. Hi, I'm so glad to be here today. I am a high school English teacher on the Big Island at Ka'u High School. So I'm
Awesome.
really looking forward to learning more strategies from you.
Oh, that is
Thank you.
so cool. Awesome. I love knowing a little bit of who my audience is. Some of the stuff I'm going to talk about may sound like it's a little more geared to middle school, but I truly think that any of these games, any of these skills can be applied to, well, really anyone in any grade. But again, these are things that I have found to be pretty successful with my 11-year-olds through 18-year-olds. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this is fun. But of course, with all things presentation, with all things sort of conference, you can scoot at any time. It's the rule of 2 feet in real life. I guess it's the rule of the escape key here. You will not hurt my feelings if you leave. Of course, everything is recorded. So I think that is it for like my intro and kind of setting the stage. And now I'm going to start talking about myself and what I do. So a little bit, actually, let me introduce my library first, because I think as I was putting together this presentation and trying to make all of my activities make sense, I realized some things only really make sense depending on your space. So the few images that I have on the screen here are of a portion of our library. Our library is in the basement of the oldest building on campus. By Howell, if you've ever been on the Mid-Pacific campus, is that beautiful old stone building at the top of the hill. And because it is a historic building, but obviously the interior has been updated as in 1980 something. It's very oddly shaped. So our whole structure, our whole library interior is sort of in the shape of an uppercase T. This is one of the ends of the top of the T. This is the area that I call the floor. It is a space that we see classes in. Whether it's a routine visit with 6th grade or the juniors are coming in for their World War I research. It comfortably seats 36-ish people, but most of our classes are about 24. But we also host clubs after school when needed. I have a high school book club that I will be sharing about in a moment. And it's also a place where I feel comfortable hosting little events like a movie night or a readathon. It is carpeted, so moving the tables and chairs around can be a little bit of a workout, but we make it work. And I just wanted you guys to kind of get a visual of where this stuff takes place so that you have an idea of how you can make some of these activities and some of these tricks work in your space as well. The picture that I have slanted in the upper right-hand corner, you can see the black rectangle there. That is our Apple TV. So some of the stuff that I do, I am projecting, or I'm having the students share their work that way. And then the right rectangle to the right of that in that picture is a whiteboard. And sometimes, again, especially with my like on the fly, like just come in and play this when you can, that is where I will simply have some of our instructions written. So it's all very visual. I try to make stuff make sense, put up those instructions explicitly. But yeah, this is our library. This is where I cruise from 7 to 4 most weekdays. And I'm about to share with you guys what I do in this space. All right, so the first activity I have shared is bathroom installments. And I'll just be upfront, I'm being a terrible information literacy expert right now when I say I do not remember who to give credit for this idea. I saw it on Twitter years ago and I just immediately fell in love with it. Bathroom installments, and you will notice the stall is in caps because this is student work published in the bathroom. It allows students to share their favorite books. So again, an activity / assignment. You can take this and you can make it like students can write about whatever they want, obviously, because I do try to do this with 6th and 9th grade, specifically when they come in for classes. We focus on book reviews. And you can make this as specific or simple as you want. I have a link to a template that'll open in just a moment, but the idea is it's student writing. It goes on the back of the door in the bathroom stall so that when someone is seated on the loo, they have something to read while they're doing their business. The students get such a kick out of it. And of course, we take the time to have a mini field trip to show them which bathrooms you're going to publish your work in, because there are a couple of things to keep in mind if you are going to tackle this. One, what restrooms on your campus are you committed to updating? Okay, so like if you have classes coming in and you're going to be doing this more than once over the course of the year, of course, you're going to want your students to feel that they have the freedom to refresh their work, or, this month we're featuring Miss Williams' class, this month we're featuring Mr. Smith's class. If you have lots of restrooms around the campus, just devote yourself to one. I am responsible for the ground floor restrooms of Kauai Ha'o. And the second thing to keep in mind is where they are going to be published with regards to splash, not to be too gross. But as you'll notice, I have these book reviews slipped into those, I guess they're called sheet protectors, like the kind that you might put in a 3-ring binder. Honestly, after a while, it starts to look a little janky, but they're just taped to the back of the stall door so that students can just slip in and out their book reviews that they've worked so hard on. I'll open the template in just a moment, but the other thing you do want to be sure your students understand is, because this is reading for pleasure, play with those font styles, play with those font sizes. I love that it's an activity in ensuring that they, yes, can write, and grammar and all of that, very important stuff. But it also allows them a little bit of creativity and artistry, and that they're getting to learn, serif fonts versus non-serif fonts, and what is going to show up well. You don't want to choose those lighter colors. They get to kind of make it their own, almost like they're publishing a little newspaper article. But I'm going to open the template now and hope that I have my sharing settings correct so that you can see what I share specifically with our 6th graders. But again, this can be adapted to any grade level, any age level. Are you guys seeing books title by author? Okay, cool. So we at our school do a lot with the Google suite of apps. So I make this, as you can kind of see, like there are no editing features on this. So we're looking at a preview of this template. I share this with my students so that it forces them to open a copy. And then everything on this page are the instructions that I'm expecting the students to not only read, but then delete and then make everything their own. As far as conventions, again, learning to put a book's title in italics, learning how to, again, play with those font styles and font sizes, and yeah, kind of having that freedom to create, but also using those important, literacy skills in providing a book review. The students really like not only that they're getting to choose the book that they want to do. My only requirement for this project or for this assignment or for this activity is maybe choose a book that we own in our collection so that folks aren't getting excited about something they can't check out yet. But the legitimacy of this is no doubt. I have actually had seniors come into the library and say, Miss Goff, I just read about that book in the bathroom. Do you have it? So it's like, yay, it's actually working. So this is bathroom installments. Again, I wish I could remember who to give credit to for this. I saw it on Twitter, but I think sometimes the sneaky thing about teaching is that we are designed to share our ideas. So this is bathroom installments. It can be done on Pic Collage. I tend to use Google Docs a little more just because it's easier for me to make that template and share it. But that is trick activity number 1 for making reading fun, because it gives students that voice. Maybe you're not reading manga in class as an assignment, but they're able to share with their audience, published in the bathroom, this is what I like to read. And it's really sweet. It's fun to see them excited even the ninth graders. Hi, my stuff's in the bathroom. All right, so moving on, let's see if I can get this full screen again. Yay. Okay, so these first few activities, tips, whatever you want to call them, all sort of focus on writing or typing and book reviews. This next one is a little more, it's like an analog version of the bathroom installments. But what makes this really cool, I think it's cool, the students thought it was cool, is their work is being published in our books. So don't freak out, they're not writing in the library books. What I started doing a few years ago, just because I do get to see 7th grade, 8th grade, 10th grade for free choice reading. So at our school, and it honestly, I mean, you guys know how it works. It kind of depends on the teacher. Sometimes 7th grade has free choice reading in 4th quarter. Sometimes it's just, we're doing a unit on books and verse, and so they're going to choose whatever they want. But again, it's a little more free choice. Students get to select their books. It can be from the library collection. It can obviously be something from home. We don't want to limit their choices like that. But because I was seeing so many classes, and that's not a complaint, it is purely a blessing, I found myself wanting to remember what I had read and why I liked it, why I felt that it was worthy of being shared. So for my own sort of frazzled brain, I started writing reviews and then on Post-its and then putting them in the backs of our library books. At our library, it's a little bit weird, our barcodes and therefore our day 2 slips are in the backs of the books. It's not something that I started. I've been at this library for 10 or 11 years. So it was there in place already. I think it's for, and this has nothing to do with the students, but if you are, thinking of updating your library or whatever, I think it is for the purposes of inventory. Our search clerk can simply pull the book off the shelf like this, scan it, and then put it back on the shelf. So anyway, that is why Mrs. Goff's reviews are in the backs of the books that she reads. And when the students come up to the front desk and they check out their book, they can see, if they haven't, flipped to the back of the book already, oh, Miss Goff read this and this is what she thinks. So I try not to make my reviews persuasive. They're a little more just what I thought about the book. But again, it helps me remember why I liked it, and it kind of encourages the students to give it a shot, especially if they are not coming to the library for recommendations. It's just sort of a silent, hey, this was great. But with regards to the students, I just got to do this with an 8th grade class. It was so much fun. So the teacher was having them choose their book, free choice for 1st quarter, and he was having them do, kind of a, I guess, prove that you're reading the book. Every so often they had to present to him somehow, what had happened so far, what were the literary elements in the book. But at the end of this unit or of this month or whatever, they got to create their own Post-it reviews. For this thing, the first time I started writing the Post-it reviews, I was just using the regular size Post-its, and that's fine. For student reviews, you'll notice that the teacher provided those longer sheets of Post-its. I'm sorry, I don't know the dimensions, but this is what it looks like in a book. And he did provide guidelines, and I'll open that in just a moment. Because I was already putting my reviews in the backs of the books, we decided, hey, put yours in the front. And then again, it's like student published work, and their peers get to see, oh my gosh, Adam read this and he liked it. He gave it 4 stars. That is so cool. I'm not going to make any comments about their handwriting skills, but it's so cool to see their work, what they thought. And again, they like getting to see their stuff. And this was our first time doing it with students, but I'm already envisioning, especially if the kiddos stay at your school over the course of several grades, Adam, Sophia, Sonia, they're going to come back and they're going to be like, oh, my review is still there. And that's going to be such a treat and such a joy. So again, giving them voice and choice, making reading fun, just by allowing them to share their thoughts on the book. So I'm going to open the guidelines now. I did not create these. Mr. G made these for this project, and he shared them with the students through his, I don't know what you folks call it at your school. At our school, we use Blackboard. Sometimes we refer to it as the intranet, but it's where all of the teachers have information about their class on their own page, right? So anyway, Mr. G provided these guidelines on his page so that the students could see what to write about. You know, you can give it stars, you can mention if you liked it or not. My only request is that you don't give away the ending when you are sharing your book review. But yeah, I think it was so much fun. It was so much fun to get to see them and writing about what they enjoyed or what they didn't like, justifying it. And then some of the kiddos actually needed more than one post-it, which I thought was funny. I was like, okay, but no more than two, because we need to be able to still close the book. That's important. But again, it was fun. And as I was working on this with the students, I realized this is an activity that you can provide for students to do on the fly. So it does not have to be something that is this structured, you know, with the class coming in and it's due by this date. If in your library space, you have an area where you can just post your own post-it book review instructions or guidelines, leave out those skinny Sharpies or a bunch of pens and the post-its, then students can just like walk in, see that, go, oh my gosh, I just finished reading All Quiet on the Western Front. I'm going to write a review about it and leave it in the book for other people to see. So that I have not done that yet. Again, if you weren't here at the beginning, I showed pictures of the library space in which I'm working, because we're in a historic building with beautiful stone walls. I don't have a lot of places to like post stuff vertically. Any horizontal flat space I'm using is usually like the top of a bookshelf, but we work with what we can, and this will be something that I try to make happen. I think it would also be cool if you had the space, or if you had the means for students who have finished their book review, maybe make that a display, right? These are reviews, or these are books reviewed by students, or maybe they all go on their own little book truck or shelf or something like that. Just ideas, again, to make reading fun, because the students, honestly, maybe they won't check out the book, but they'll be reading what their peers thought about it. So again, it's all about reading. It's all about getting kiddos to enjoy being in your library space. It's all about ignoring what my cats are doing outside of this room, because we're trying to be professional. So that is post-it reviews. I realized that I'm just sort of talking. Does anybody have any questions so far? I'm going to try to allow time for questions or ideas at the end, but I meant to say this at the beginning, because I'm looking at you know, my slides and my notes, I might not notice a hand raised. So if you guys want to like unmute at any time and just interrupt me, please do. Okay, cool. So next, all right. So again, kind of going with the theme of student voice and choice, book reviews. Instead of writing, this is where we get a little more tech savvy. This is an activity I did with my my high school book club students, just because I wanted to see, hey, can this work? And obviously, if you have students in a book club, they already enjoy reading and they have a lot of books that they can talk about. So this involves the use of QR codes, which I realize is a little bit exclusive. Our school is one-to-one with iPads. So we're assuming students have a device with a camera. Obviously, you can use, you know, bit.ly or another URL shortener. But the beauty of a QR code is it's a little more, you know, aesthetically pleasing. It's like an image. And basically what I had my students do, again, they got to choose whatever books they wanted, was make a book review that another student could access using the camera on his or her device. I didn't have as many guidelines or rules for this assignment activity. just that if the student was going to use only his or her voice in the recording, make the image that a student would see on his or her screen the cover of the book, right? So that people know what you're talking about. Obviously, a time limit is important because loading, uploading technology, how long is this going to take, right? And then I have found, regardless of age level or grade level, encouraging the students to maybe just write out a brief script or the points that you want to hit is kind of key. Even as we as adults, present and share, we try to have our notes with us so that we don't miss any talking points. Again, it wasn't required, it wasn't anything they turned in, but this is an activity that you could do with a class and make it a little more structured, or again, offer those, guidelines on the fly, and students can simply, I don't know, email their links to you or share them in a shared Google place. But I asked the students to simply share with me the links. I dropped them, again, our school works a lot with Google, so I dropped them into our shared book club drive folder, and then used those links to pop into a QR code generator, and then made these book displays. The image that's sort of in the background, you can kind of see if you focus on the right-hand side next to the window, that is where these little slips of paper are taped. This picture was taken at the start of this project, so over the course of our book club meetings and stuff like that, those flat-ish areas around the window have become a little more decorated with book club reviews. And we try, if the book is available, to have the actual book near wherever we posted it, but you can make them as large or as small as you want. I do try to save paper, so I think these are printed on maybe a quarter size sheet, maybe a half size sheet of paper. If you're not familiar with generating QR codes, this link is here. And one thing, I'm so sorry, Jennifer, I forgot to mention at the start, on the spreadsheet that 808 shared with us presenters, but I'm assuming everybody who's attending as well, that is where I have linked not necessarily this slideshow, but a PDF document I created that has a little more, it goes a little more into detail with regards to all of these tips and tricks. So that document is available for anyone to open, and all of the links that I'm sharing, Mr. G's guidelines, the template to the bathroom installments, this QR code link to the website, they're all available as live links in that PDF document as well. So QR codes, this is the generator I use. It is called, wait for it, qrcodegenerator.com. And all you do is you drop your link in here. I guess, let's see if it works today. Let's see how this works on the fly and live for your viewing pleasure. So yay. I mean, I didn't even hit return or enter on my keyboard. You just drop your link here on the left-hand side. Here on the right is where it generates it. As with many things today, there is a free version and there is a premium version. So I'm just using the free version. It generates a couple of options. Here, you can see some of these options are locked, or they're offered for people who have an account, I suppose. But towards the bottom of this screen, there is an option to download, and then it's a JPEG or it's a PNG. You can just resize it however you want, and print it as you need for students to access on the fly. So that is our that's our book review with QR codes. I try to offer a variety of, again, with these assignments, book reviews, not everyone is confident with their scratchy handwriting. Not everyone, can write a paragraph that they feel confident publishing. So this, if you are looking at this to use as an assignment to give students voice and choice in your classroom, this is one of those options where a student can show that she understands the themes of the books, understands, the plot, the other literary elements, but also lends her that confidence of not writing if that isn't something that she feels skilled at. And so, yeah. QR codes for recorded reviews. I have one last sort of review assignment activity that I'm going to share. And again, this leans more towards using tech. And this is the first thing I am going to ask our attendees to work with me on. So this is Padlet. If you've attended 808 before, you might be a little bored of Padlet because I love talking about it. If you're not familiar with it, Padlet is like a digital bulletin board. And with your free account, I think you can have 3 or 5 Padlets going at the same time. Our school uses the backpack version, which means the school, I'm assuming, pays for a subscription. Any of the teachers can use it, make their own account, and have as many Padlets going on at the same time as they need. I am going to make a Padlet right now in front of us, and I'm going to ask you folks to add to it so that everybody watching and everybody participating can have a feel for how this works. But the images that I have on the screen kind of give you an idea of how a finished product might look and how it can apply to making reading fun for students. The example in the background, books for 7th grade, that's actually something I created back during when we were all sharing COVID. Again, the 7th graders get free choice at some point in the school year, but they weren't able to come to the library as a class to hear book talks. So I made a bunch of book talks and put them on the Padlet, shared that link with the teacher so that they could watch Mrs. Goff in their classroom. Also provided links with tutorials on how to place a hold on a book through our catalog so that I could see Jasmine wants this book, Albert wants this book, and then I was able to pull them for them. So embedding videos, simply taking a quick video and leaving it on the Padlet is an option. This image in the foreground is a screenshot of something that I did with another group of students where we weren't recording, you were writing, you were providing, obviously the cover of the book, but I'm gonna kind of stop talking about it and actually get us there. So first things first, I'm now opening a link to our school's Padlet. You will notice the URL at the top on the left has our school's prefix. So this is what the backpack version of Padlet looks like. Padlet.com is their free place. So anybody can make an account. You can kind of see how it works. It's just that you won't have all of these Padlets as an option. You will, again, be limited to either 3 or 5 Padlets at a time, and then you can delete them and then you can make new ones, or you can just refresh the ones that you created. So how do we make a Padlet? I'm going to make one right now. Again, I hope this proves useful. There are different, what do you call these, canvases offered. I'm just going to select the first one, but I want you guys to see all of the different kind of settings that are important for you to know are options, because this is what allows the sharing features. So you can always get rid of that title. Let's make this I Teach 808. I'm so sorry if you can hear Baloo. She doesn't like it when I'm not talking to her. Your icons are simply, did you want to add something? We can say no, we can go back. But this is where you can make this a little bit easier for your students to have the link. So again, I'm going to just make this I Teach 808 2023, and I will share that link in the chat in just a moment so that you guys can get to the Padlet and add your own stuff to it. You can change up your wallpaper, you can change up your color scheme. How do you want the stuff to be populated as your students finish their work and add them to the Padlet? Do you want new stuff first or new stuff last, almost like a blog? Are you going to allow people to add comments? Are you going to allow people to add reactions? I always allow students to add reactions, either stars or hearts. It's a way to encourage communication, I think. So when I do this as an assignment or an activity in a class, you are required to do a review for one book and then find 2 other classmates or 2 other peers and leave a comment or a review or a heart or a star on their post as well. Content filtering. I always put on the filter profanity no, I've never needed it before, but it actually does. Like if someone were to write a bad word, what appears on the screen is that angry Bitmoji, and like you can't even see the word behind it. It's pretty cool. Let me scoot this over so I can see if there's anything else I need to set. Sorry, all of the those little Zoom things are taking up space. All right, so I think that's good to go. I'm going to hit next. So what we've done here is we've just kind of set up the feel for the visual feel for the Padlet. When I hit next, though, I'm going to hit on this back button. Oh, sorry, no, I'm not. I'm going to say start posting. And I'm going to come to this setting feature. This is très important, okay? This little gear here offers you the options to go back and change stuff if you want. So that's the first thing that's important. And I'm going to just change that to say no remakes. Always hit save, always hit save. This is not Google. It doesn't automatically save for you. So always hit save. I'm going to say close. And then the next super important thing is the share button that's at the top of this menu on the right-hand side. This is where you can set your privacy. This is where you make it open to students to just add their comments, but they can't edit someone else's post. So adding members, that's a feature where if you have like a co-teacher and you both want administrative rights to the Padlet, but the default for privacy is secret. So you're not going to search Google and find this I Teach 808 2023 Padlet. You're only going to be able to access it if I share the link with you, which is kind of nice to have that privacy settings for student work as well. Visitors can write. I'm going to show you guys what the other options are with regards to privacy. So this is private, password. That would be if you did find it, you would have to have a password to access it. But visitor permissions, if you made something kind of like I did with the 7th graders, where I just had all of those book review videos, those settings can read. The students can access it, they can see it, but they cannot add their own videos to the Padlet. They can add a heart or a star if I set those comments up in that previous option, but this kind of makes it a little more static and you don't have to worry about someone accidentally deleting something. I'm going to leave the option here to write because I want you guys to add stuff to this Padlet. And then editing obviously would be, you know, I've shared something, I want you to check on it. Can you go back and review it for me and make any edits as needed? So we haven't changed anything with the settings, and that's why the saved option isn't highlighted in pink. I'm going to come back, and then these are just some other options. I don't know why you would print it, but it's there. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to copy the link, cross all my fingers, come back to Zoom. Where are you guys? And hopefully add this to the chat. Where's that chat? Oh, there it is. All right, so it's set to everyone. Oh, thank you so much for sharing the PDF link. I really appreciate that. Yay, teamwork. Okay, so hopefully I have the settings correct. If I don't, awesome. This is a learning experience, but I am going to share this link now so you guys can open it if you are in the chat with me. Hi, Derek. And then you can start adding stuff. If you're not sure how to do that, I kind of want you guys to experiment and play, but the little pinkish icon in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, it looks like a plus sign. When you tap on it, it changes to that little edit, what's it called? Pencil or pen. That will allow you to add a writing, add an image, add a GIF. You can make it a book review right now if you want, but I am going to give you guys a few minutes right now to just kind of play with the Padlet and add some stuff. Do let me know though if you can't open it. Huzzah! Very cool. Oh, yay. I'm going to heart that. All right, let's see. Ooh, let's see. if while I'm using that camera in Zoom, I could make a video in Padlet. I'm going to come over to the ellipses menu, video recorder. Oh my gosh, it's working. I cannot wait to share with you guys all of the other fun stuff I do with my students. I hope that this is proving useful so far, and I cannot thank you enough for joining us today. Bye. All right, playback and save. Let's give it a title. Hey, hi, Elmo. Let's give that a heart too. All right, and publish. So you can see everything is kind of scooting over because that one setting I have, newer posts will appear first. If you were doing this with a class of a bunch of students, eventually the whole page would sort of fill up like that. But I think you can always go back and change your canvas if you want. So if you don't like that sort of blog feel where the whole screen is filled up regardless of the size of someone's post, I don't remember where that option is now, but I have done it before. So like if you prefer everything to kind of be streamlined, you can have those columns and you just label the columns at the top. There's one last thing I do want to mention though, and that is, oh, the require approval. So again, I'm looking at my menu on the right-hand side. Above the filter profanity option is the require approval. So one thing that I can't remember what her job title is, but the person at our campus who kind of keeps up with all like extracurricular activities. Whenever something is going on, like Spirit Week, you know, teachers take pictures of your students and add them to the Spirit Week Padlet. She will have the require approval setting toggled on. And so she will be looking at the Padlet throughout the day and then just, you know, selecting that pink publish button or that pink approve button as people, you know, submit their stuff to the Padlet, and then people can see their work eventually. I sometimes have that saved, or I have that toggled on as well. If I am wanting my students to maybe put a little more effort into their book review, like, you know, could you add one more sentence about what you thought about that character or something like that? And then they can just go back, edit their work, and then we can publish it when it is finished. But I'll set that like that. Again, if you haven't changed anything, you don't have to hit save. But this is Padlet. And I think now might be a good time to take that 5-minute break. You guys have been sitting and listening for a long time. Before I change my screen to a timer, does anyone have any questions or wonderings? And if you don't have to unmute, you can just add stuff to the chat as well. We're good so far? Oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun this morning. All right, kiddos, I am going to set up a timer on this screen so you can keep up with that. Let's just keep it to 5-ish minutes. So we'll come back at 8:51-ish. And I will share with you guys some other stuff. If you are sitting here kind of bored, like, God, everything was about writing and reviewing books, when's the fun stuff? I promise you the rest of our time together is going to be focused a little more on games, having fun with the books and stuff like that. But I will see you guys in a moment and I will stop talking. There will never be a time in human history where everyone will remember to unmute. There will always be that person who will just start talking and forget. And that is me. Alrighty, friends, let us get to part 2. So if you're just joining us, or if you kind of skipped through the first part, that was a lot of giving students voice and choice with regards to books, book reviews, sharing their thoughts in a variety of ways. The next few things I'm going to share with you guys might go a little fast because some of them are just really quick, fun things. But again, they're all sort of detailed a little bit better in that in the PDF shared in the I Teach 808 spreadsheet with the links, as well as shared in the chat. Thank you again, Jennifer. So let us get back to my notes. Oh, there's our, all quiet on the Western Front. Yay. All right. I am going to heart everything so everyone feels loved. With regards to saving this, I mean, we just use it as a playing thing. So don't get your feelings hurt if I delete it just to kind of clean up my own Padlet. I love your work. It's great, but we don't need to keep it forever and ever. So let's get to it. That was Padlet. Okay. Bingo. Oh my God, this is so much fun. And it actually can be used in a variety of different settings. This is, I mean, it's obviously something that you need to have students preferably for. So again, it can be if a class is coming in or if you're having an event after school. I kind of find an excuse to do some sort of bingo whenever I can, because two things, it's sort of, I hate to throw around the words that everybody throws around, but it kind of gamifies the lesson. But it also, depending on how you structure it, it kind of encourages the students to seek out those titles that they might not have naturally gravitated to on their own. So I have a couple of different examples here on the screen. The one on the left, okay, so this is, how do I say this and have it make sense? It's the only thing that I don't like have printed with an example. But anyway, as an example, you have a class coming into the library, or you are a teacher and you get to have a class every day. This is almost like those icebreaker bingo games that maybe you've had to do at real life conferences, where you have that bingo sheet and you're trying to find the person with the striped socks or the person wearing earrings. But this I use whenever I have students in for a book buffet. So I love talking about books, obviously, but I also want students to have the freedom when they do come to the library as a class to get to choose and select their own books to sort of preview, or what I call taste, when we have our book buffets. So if you remember the pictures I shared at the beginning, we have that kind of big open area with all of those round tables. I will set up, 5 to 7 titles at each table, different stuff, mystery, murder, romance, fantasy. And the students, when they come and sit down, I let them know you're not going to be at that table. This is a buffet, and you're going to get up and you're going to taste a variety of books. When you add the bingo element to it, it forces them to seek out those titles. And so the card that I have on screen, more towards the left-hand side, has them searching out those books. So can you find a book that has sports? Can you find a book with a one-word title? The reason I have created the bingo card with those kind of spaces underneath the prompt is because they have to write the title of the book there. And you can't use the same title to answer 2 questions, okay? You have to move to the other tables. And then if you want to add a little bit, more of a game to it, it can be like musical chairs, and at time you have to sit at that table and then take 3 minutes to pick up one of those books and start reading it, right? And then, okay, time. And then, you're playing the bingo, and then the timer goes off and you're at a different table and you have to pick up that book and let it introduce yourself to you or taste the book. I do caution my students to not literally lick the books. The thing about library books is you don't know whose hands have touched it before you. But again, book bingo. The smaller ones that I have on the right-hand side, I have as an example because when you play bingo, guys, you don't have to use a 5x5 card, okay? That kind of puts the onus on you to come up with 25 or with a free space, 24 different things to say. So sometimes I will use these quarter sheets with just more of a tic-tac-toe feel. These specifically, I just use to advertise our Scholastic Book Fair. I'm gonna have a book fair, guys, the first time in 2 years. And so as I am sharing that book talk video from Scholastic with the students, they're sort of forced, encouraged to pay attention, because you never know when the narrator is going to say one of those phrases or when that name is going to come flashing across the screen. So again, it makes that visit to the library, or it makes that time where you are choosing your books a little more adventuresome. And that is book talk bingo. Next, okay, book clubs. This is so simple. It makes reading fun. Obviously, the kiddos who are going to join your book club already think reading is fun, but book clubs, you know, I was hesitant at first to do this at our school because, as we all know, not everyone can get the book, not everyone reads the book, and not everyone shows up. So with regards to our Nene book club, I have those cute little images on the left-hand side of the screen. Yeah, that was intense because you have the list of books. I had to write a little grant so that I could buy more books that would be available and, you know, have materials for something for them to do related to the book every time they came. But with our high school book club, which meets once a month, we do not assign a title. The students come up with a theme. And then we come up with a list of books that we think more or less apply to that theme. So the screenshot I have on the right-hand side of the page lists those stories and our theme for our next meeting. I think we're going to meet next week, actually. Those books, and again, this is a high school group, but those books that for some reason you never got a chance to read. And so it's all the stuff that they dreamed up. That, yeah, I remember that series coming out, or yeah, I remember a friend telling me about that and I never got to read it. And so they have about a month to select one or more of those books. And then when we meet, we chat about the books that we read, or we don't. It's super chill. We chat about what we read instead, and then we come up with another theme. I will say, if this is something you want to try to do, either with your students or with your colleagues, one of the best themes is books you hate. We start every year with that theme, and it is so much fun. We've never come to blows about books, but it really creates awesome discussion and awesome conversation. Another one that we had fun with, just coming up, finding titles that applied to the theme, was books that sound like Taylor Swift songs. I wasn't much of a help because I'm not familiar with her work. But it was super fun, and I'm so sorry I don't have a screenshot of that. I try to refresh our page every month. But anyway, book clubs, they can be as chill or as intense as you want, but again, it's a way to make reading fun. Okay, next. Okay. This is something that I'm sort of sharing because it aligns with a service project that our book club did, but it is not something you have to do only if you have a book club. You can do this on your own. You can do this with any of those random students who are always in your library. We at Mid-Pacific are calling this the Little Libraries Project, and it is based on the little free libraries that you guys have probably heard about by now, those super cute little birdhouse looking things that just have free books for people to use who live in that neighborhood or who drive by that house. I have a link here to the actual Free Little Library official site. I did not want to pay $350 for a birdhouse to put my books in. So we at Mid-Pacific upcycled all of those Amazon boxes that come when I order books. And that is the image that is featured on the right-hand side of the screen. So our high school students kind of reinforced / decorated the boxes with duct tape. Yes, duct tape is awesome and artistic. And they had so much fun actually ransacking their personal libraries at home for those books that they weren't interested in owning anymore. as well as, I went through our collection, weeded some titles that I, thought might find a better home elsewhere. And the students, if you are going to do this, I mean, obviously you can keep it in your library as well, but our students wanted this to be more of an outreach project across the campus. So they chatted with various high school teachers and asked if there was a space where they could just put one of their little libraries for those students who come in to Miss Garcia's class to take those books as they need. What I unfortunately don't have pictured is on the other side of the box. So again, instructions and labels are key. On the other side of the box, we have a brief description of what Little Libraries is all about. It's, provided by your Mid-Pacific Book Club. And these are the other classrooms you can find your little libraries in. So, if you got it from A13, you can return it to B24 or something like that. This is again, kind of a project. So it does require a little bit of prep on your part. Whose classrooms you're going to keep the books in, where, how often are the students going to keep up with it? This is definitely a student driven project, but that does kind of mean that I am requesting, before our book club, go and check your little libraries, because an empty duct tape box in someone's classroom looks a little janky. So it does require a little bit of upkeep, but it's fun. And they do notice, hey, that book wasn't there last time, so someone clearly got it from another classroom. And because it sort of expands your reach as the librarian, if you are the librarian, kids are getting to read. Maybe they can't make it to the library. Maybe they only come if they come with a class, and that means it's once a month, but you are allowing them to have that option and opportunity by kind of expanding your reach like that. The label that I have, we designed it ourselves. It's our school's like official vintage seal. And then as we get new books donated, our high schoolers stick these on the books, just so we know it's part of that collection. But other than that, it's pretty chill. And again, it's a fun way to kind of expand those reading opportunities. Okay, a readathon. Don't freak out. I did it. It's super easy. Again, kind of like a book club. It can be as easy or as intense as you want. I will say, while I am using this term, I learned from another conference that some school or some organization thinks that they have the rights to that term readathon, but they don't. So if we get in trouble, we're not really in trouble. So anyway, a readathon, it's whatever you want it to be. I know that some school librarians do this and they are superheroes, and it's almost like a spend the night in the library kind of thing. We're going to read for 12 hours. I don't want to cruise with you for 12 hours. So our first readathon a few years ago, before we were sharing COVID, was about 3-ish hours long. And the most important thing to include with a readathon is, of course, time to read. And you'd be surprised, those kiddos who show up or who are accidentally in the library and despite all of your advertisements have no idea what's going on, will stay. And they'll be like, oh, we can read anything? Like, yeah. So they'll go get Surfer magazine, or they'll go find the manga, right? And you just read. I had a mixed crowd. So our reading times were like 30 to 40 minutes. And then I would intersperse those just quiet reading. You can cruise on the floor if you want, interspersed with library reading themed games. And so I'm going to share those with you in just a moment. Snacks are key. You are staying in the library or in your classroom for an extended amount of time. Again, it can be as chill or as intense as you want. You can order pizza, or you can just throw Starbursts on the tables. The kids love it. It's cool to kind of coincide it with some sort of national week. That's what my first bullet point is there for. Or you can just do it on your own, just because you want to. The image that I have on the right-hand side of the screen is an example of some of the advertisements that I just post in the hallways around the school whenever I am going to have an event. And yeah, it just helps to get the word out. There are you guys work at schools, there are so many ways to receive and share information. So Sometimes good old-fashioned printed advertisement is the way to go. So let's look at some of the games that you can either do in conjunction with your readathon, or you can just do it with a class, or you can just do it after school because it's Tuesday. Okay, word search. This is so much fun. It's so fun and so stupid. I don't know if you guys are familiar with wiki racing. It's a game that I learned from TikTok, and shout out to TikTok, and no offense to like legitimate education, but I have learned more teaching skills and tips from TikTok than I have in my entire time going to college. So wiki racing, and actually you can apply wiki racing to your databases as well. But what you do with wiki racing, what you do with your database racing is you start with a term, women's suffrage. And then when that article comes up, you have to get to your next term, random term, airports. And all you're doing on your screen is you're tapping on a link. You're tapping on a link. You're like making a trail of digital breadcrumbs until finally some student, oh my gosh, I ended up on the airport article, right? And so you can share your screen and the student can just hit back so we can see, oh my gosh, that's how long it took, or those are all the articles you found as you got from women's suffrage to airport. With word search, kind of the same. I have students, I just have books out on the table and we have a word. I let the students generate the words. They can call them out and I just write them on the board, or I use the wheel of names, and that adds a little bit more, I guess, wondering what word is it going to land on, right? If you're not familiar with the wheel of names, it's a great way to like call on students without actually calling on students, because you're letting the wheel decide fate, right? But anyway, you have a word, witches. And so each student has their own book, but they're having to read. It's not quite like wiki racing because you're not just finding that blue word with a line under it and tapping. You're having to skim the page until you find that required word, sneakers, witches, seatbelts, whatever. And then someone finds it. Oh, that's great. Okay, you have to choose another book and we're going to scoot to the next word. So it actually gets them to read or at least skim the pages a little bit. But what's kind of cool is inevitably after that, class of 16 or 27 students, some of them are going to want to check out those books. Like I started in chapter 7, but I kind of want to see what happens next. So you do want to have your words ready, or you can just brainstorm them on the fly with the students. But again, it's a little more structured. You do kind of want to be that person at the front with a group of people, but it's really fun. It's so dumb, but it's really fun. No skill involved. Okay, get caught reading. This is something, again, that you can do in conjunction with an event, or just on the fly, have something like this at the front of your library. If you have one of those big television monitors, it just stays on the screen, or you can print it out and leave it somewhere on a analog real life bulletin board. What's fun about this is it can get both your colleagues and students involved. So the image that I have shared on the screen are obviously all adults. This is an example of one that I made for the readathon. But again, you can make it as analog or as digital as you want. So I had each of these pictures actually printed out on a big white sheet of paper with the numbers. Numbers are important because that's how students are going to identify who is who. But their answers were supplied digitally using Google Forms. So they click on, they scan the QR code, or they type in the short link to the Google form that I had advertised along with these pictures in the library. And then, I honestly can't remember if I gave them a word bank. I might have, because when you're seeing middle and high schoolers, they don't all know those teachers. So I gave them a word bank, and then they just had to say, number 2 is Mr. Nips, number 10 is Miss So-and-so. And you can set Google Forms actually to read almost like a quiz, so that as they submit their answers, they know whether or not they got them right. And then you, as the person, receiving the answers, can see who got them all right. Prizes are optional. It can just be bragging rights if you want. But this is one of those things, even if it's on the fly, you do want to have some sort of moment where those winners are alerted. Yay, you won. And if it's on the fly, you can just leave those prizes at the front desk. Or again, if it's part of an event, then that is one of the events, and yay, you won. But again, they can see their teachers or their peers reading those books, like, oh, what is the book that Mr. So-and-so has? Do you have that in our collection? Honestly, this is one of those things, if you are going to get your grown-up colleagues to partake in, this is one of those things where you are going to send out maybe 5 to 7 emails requesting pictures, and you'll get 2. And then you just start grabbing people. You just start walking around the campus with a handful of books and say, here, hold this in front of your face. Thank you so much. And that's how it starts. That's how it starts, guys. It has to start somewhere. So that's get caught reading. Okay. Oh, this one is so much fun. Again, kind of like the book search, it does work better when you have an established time or an established group of people to work with. This is not my idea. This comes from Travis Jonker's blog that he writes for School Library Journal. And if you're not familiar with it, there's the link. I'll take us to it in just a moment. But again, it is linked on the PDF that I have shared. And I have some of the cards here, and we can play if you want. But anyway, what he does is he creates and or finds nasty reviews, not inappropriate, but just like really depressing negative reviews about various books that sometimes are really, really good books, sometimes they're children's stories. But I made this into a game in that with my cards, you know, and you can get into teams, you can play individually. Okay, I'm going to read out this review. Yes, children, you should definitely let strangers in the house. Your mom will never know. And then they have to guess what the book is. In this case, it is The Cat in the Hat by Dr. Seuss. The key to this, though, guys, the key to this is if you're going to make cards, don't put the answer on the back. They'll see it. Okay, so what you're looking at on my screen on the right-hand side, the little text on the bottom that's printed upside down is the answer, so that it's always facing you and they can't cheat. If you want to see what Travis's work looks like, and because it is a blog, you know, it's updated every so often. So his work, if you want to just keep everything digital and you don't want to like print stuff and laminate stuff, this is just what you have in front of you. And you can click on, you know, click on the title or click on the link. And then he also does not yet provide the the title. Dribble nonsense, put Captain Underpants in the penthouse, take the elevator down the basement, you will find Andy and Terry in their swanky treehouse, and then click here for the answer. So again, even if you were sharing this on a screen, your audience won't see the answer until you click on it. And I think the lovely thing that Travis does is his links take you to, they'll take you to the Goodreads page where you can learn more about the book if you so choose. So that is 1-star reviews. Okay. Here's one. I'm going to have you guys guess. You can unmute or you can put it in the chat if you want. Awkward boy awkwardly ends up becoming awkward friends with a dead classmate's family. Anybody want to take a guess? It is. Oh, hold on. Let me check the chat. Dear Evan Hansen by Val Image. And what's fun is like if the kids are familiar with the books, and honestly, I had middle and high schoolers come to the readathon to play this game, but I did include a lot of children's books because those are the ones that they're going to remember. Like horses aren't blue, cats aren't purple, 0 stars, and they're like, oh, brown bear, brown bear. So it's super fun. Thank you so much, Travis, for making people's bad thoughts into a game. And yeah, it makes people laugh. Okay, this is a game that I am going to have you guys play. We don't have to go through the whole thing, but if you're not familiar with Jeopardy Labs, this is another way you can make reading fun, particularly your assigned reading. And I have seen other English language arts teachers use this in their classrooms. So you have your assigned reading, or you just have kiddos coming in for an event, or you just have kiddos coming in for a class, for book talks or whatever. But you create your Jeopardy labs beforehand. And again, that link is there. It's super simple. You do not need to create an account. What you do need to do though is keep up with the link that it shares with you, because that's the only way you can get back to it. It's not like Wheel of Names. Wheel of Names will remember you. I can have the Wheel of Names and I can completely shut down my computer and I can open it back up and it has everything that I created. It's kind of spooky. Jeopardy labs is not like that. I'm so sorry if you can hear Baloo. She's such a diva. Okay, so Jeopardy labs, you make your own questions and answers, just like Jeopardy. It can be 5 by 5. It can be less than that. Hold on, I gotta move the Zoom stuff around.
We have about 15 more minutes left. Just
Oh, cool. Oh my gosh, I was so afraid I wasn't gonna hit the time. Yay! But here, we don't have to play with like real teams. I just kind of want you guys to see how this works. So anyone can chime in at any time. I'll choose the first one. Let's go with characters for 100. So I'm going to name some characters and you guys have to tell me the title of the book. Fern and Wilbur.
Charlotte's Web.
Yes, okay, yay. And so let's see, if I hit the space bar, it will reveal what is Charlotte's Web, and then we can add our points to the team. You'll notice that cute little box at the bottom automatically adds the correct amount of points or subtracts them. I don't ever play with the subtracting thing because that's mean. But then the escape key takes you back here. So we'll do one more. Setting for 300, Arrakis.
Dune.
Yes, got it. Yes. Dune. What is Dune? Okay, so again, when you go to the real Jeopardy labs, you can make it 5 by 5, like a traditional Jeopardy board. I just did 3 by 3, so you guys can see that that's an option. I don't think you can change the amounts. I think it's just automatically going to go 100 to 500. But you can make them as difficult as you want. I have seen teachers use this with their required reading, and the students, like these seniors, are like jumping out of their chairs, like, no, why did you say that? But it makes those required readings kind of fun because you're only going to be able to play if you read them. Okay, just a couple more. The Easter egg hunt. This is intense. This is one of the ones that you have to do a lot of prep for, but it is something that I just have on the fly. So I have everything set up at the library for students to come in and play if they so choose. The image that I have on the right-hand side is the giant whiteboard that I leave at the entrance to the library that has the instructions on it. But this is what I do beforehand. I take the books and just a brief explanation. We have like our nonfiction section and our fiction section, right? And if you're familiar with your call numbers, then you know they are not the same thing. So I will take, for this example, take those fiction books and hide them in the nonfiction section. But what I'm doing is I am taking the red pencil and I'm putting it with the Africa books. I'm taking Charlotte's Web and I'm hiding it with the books on arachnids. So inside every book is one of these bunnies. I have this printout template on that shared PDF so that, as you can see in the image in the lower left-hand corner, that's kind of how the students know, hey, you found the right book. But what's on the board for the students to take and then use to search the catalog is your clue. So you know what book you're looking for. You know the call number that should pop out to you if you are in the nonfiction and you're looking for a fiction book. And then whatever's in bold is the only thing you have to type into the catalog subject so that you know what section the dragon books are in. You know where to go to find the spider books. And then, of course, you have to have prizes at the front desk. And if you are not at the front desk, you have to let your colleagues know, hey, I'm doing this game. Give prizes out to people who find the books. The cool thing is that obviously, if you're coming to the front desk with the egg and the rabbit in the book, yay, you did it right. So that's super fun. And then finally, the last thing, database bingo, because guys, we're not only talking about reading books, we're talking about just reading sources. And so this is something I do to kind of get students in the mood for research. It takes a lot of prep. That in the lower left-hand corner is one of those big poster boards that I just keep and I stick up somewhere when we have a class. And then I make a gajillion bingo cards. The key to this is printing them in different colors, because wherever students are seated, they might not be sitting with their teammates. But you know, when you go up to the board and you've answered this question, you have to go to Britannica, you have to type in pumpkin, you have to read part of the article to find the correct answer. Check it with me, you go up to the board and you stick your answer there, but you're playing with other teams. So someone else is going to put their answer here. So you are trying to get 5 in a row. And what makes it super fun and super intense is once our board is filled, yay, orange team got a bingo, then you can start putting your answers on top of other people. It gets really shady, really tricky, really intense, really quick. Obviously, what I'm showing you right now is incredibly simplified, but if you are going to be starting your civil rights unit or your World War II unit, this is what you do with Galen context. This is what you do with Academic Search Complete. You just got to be sure that you have found the article that you know the students should be reading, so that your answers kind of, your answers and the way you're phrasing your question kind of matches up. It is crafted chaos, but it gets them into your digital sources, and it gets them, again, reading a little bit to find those answers, and it gets them out of their seats playing, using lots of tape. And that, my friends, is a year in the life of Nicole Goff. So I cannot believe it. Why did I doubt that I could talk for 90 minutes about myself? I don't know. But does anybody have any thoughts, questions, ideas?
You are so amazing, Nicole.
What they have to be involved.
That was really impressive. You should do this at schools of the future and show everybody what librarians are able to do.
You think so?
It was very good. Like, I love the specific examples, and they're all different, which is so interesting. But yeah, I would love to be in your library.
Oh, thank you. I have to be honest to everyone here and everyone who's later watching. Laurel is my benchmark. She is beyond fabulous. And I don't always, I won't always mention her because I don't want people to compare me to her, because she is just a goddess. But thank you. That means a lot. And thank you again, Sacred Hearts and the Augustine Foundation, for making this possible. Again, I hope something made sense. I hope something proves useful. And I hope that we can make reading fun again for our kiddos as they get older and more cynical, negative human beings. Because we're wanting to create positive people for the planet. Okay, I think that's it. I don't know what to do now.
Sounds good. Awesome. And
Hi, Mark. Thank you, Shayani, for joining. Thank you, Laurel. Thank you, Jennifer. I guess I'm going to hit stop share. And
yes, and then mahalo to you, Nicole, and everyone for your participation. We hope you found the session helpful and made some valuable connections. It seems like we had a lot of fun. Special thanks again to our sponsors, Sacred Hearts Academy, Honolulu, and the Augustine Educational Foundation for making this conference free for the past 10 years. Please help us complete the survey on the website. I Teach 808. I just sent it in the chat so that we can continue to receive grant funding. You will also receive a certificate of participation after completing the survey and automatically be entered to win one of the $10 Target gift cards if you complete the survey by February 4th. The survey will also be sent to the email address that you registered with. Please make sure to check your spam folder for any emails from iteach808hawaii@gmail.com. Sometimes they go there. And thank you for being here today. Feel free to join the other sessions coming up and have a wonderful day.
bye, guys. Thanks again.